It was a place surrounded by mountains, and the houses were burning down. Chaos reigned, and amid the madness, someone shouted, ordering his subordinates to block the intruders, declaring that the Murim alliance had started the Great Demon War, and he barked at them not to let a single one of the enemies inside. A man in white robes was seen running through the turmoil, and the reason behind the chaos soon became clear. Tens of thousands of righteous Murim warriors had swarmed in like ants. Bearded man noticed the one in white fleeing and called out to him, referring to him as the Internal Affairs Commander, and asked why he hadn't escaped yet. The man in white stopped upon hearing the voice and addressed the other man as Division Captain, explaining that he was heading toward the mountain path. The captain approached him, concern etched on his face, and asked why he was there without any guards, stating that it was far too dangerous, and urged him to come with him. But the man in white insisted he needed to go to the cult leader, as ever since she had ordered the disciples to abandon the great mountain, she had not moved. The captain's eyes widened in shock, and he said the situation looked grim, and at this rate, their defenses wouldn't last even an hour. The white-robed man patted the captain's shoulder, telling him to leave as well, and said he would first understand the cult leader's intentions and then retreat with her. But internally, he thought to himself that it was already too late. The captain ran off. The man in white thought bitterly, "This life really is trash," and resumed running toward the cult leader's pavilion. Standing in front of its door, he called out, introducing himself as Internal Affairs Commander Yomyung, and asked if she was inside. Receiving no answer, he called out again. He was now standing before the Demon Heaven Palace, and once more he shouted, but this time, a voice echoed in his mind, as the cult leader, using telepathy, told him to come in. Hearing her voice, fear crept over him, and he thought, did she hear me using informal speech? Hesitating as he struggled to push the door open, it barely budged, and he sighed, frustrated, thinking, couldn't at least one person have stayed behind to open the damn door? He pushed harder, and finally, the door opened, and fueled by urgency, he rushed in with force. Inside, a woman sat calmly and remarked that his martial arts were still worse than those of third-rate demon cultists. Yomyung flinched, realizing she had seen everything, and he muttered that it was a good thing none of the other elders or captains had witnessed his blunder. She responded, right? If the Grand Elder had heard you yapping informal speech at the cult leader, he wouldn't have let you off the hook. Yomyung's heart sank as she had heard everything. He approached and knelt before the woman seated on a throne, greeting her respectfully as the cult leader. She looked down at him and asked, with a faint smile, "Our weakest Internal Affairs Commander, what brings you before your cult leader?" It was revealed she was the 20th leader of the heavenly demon cult, the Grandmaster of Demonic Arts, the heartless demon empress Chionura. With a worried expression, Yomyung asked why she was just sitting there. She explained that it was because of the heaven-slaying poison, a mix of the heavenly great poison that was not easy to deal with, and those who consumed it were nearly impossible to revive. Upon hearing the name of the poison, Yomyung's expression twisted in fury, and he asked if it had been the work of that bastard, the demonic path Great Lord. It was then revealed the man who poisoned her was Han Mubak, the one chosen to be Chionura's husband, the traitor who had opened the gates of the 10,000 mountain fortress to the Murim alliance. The leader of the betrayers, Chionura, confirmed it, and before leaving her, Han Mubak had told her that it had taken great effort to earn the favor of both her and the former cult leader, and poisoning her was his way of proving how hard he had worked. Yomyung was furious, cursing Han Mubak under his breath. She found his anger amusing and remarked as much. Still deeply worried, Yomyung asked what she meant by saying such things now, and he thought to himself, she was always solemn, always dignified, always strict, and only now, at the very end, she finally smiles. He knelt lower and asked her, "Is it too late, Chion?" Yura replied softly, "Probably, the heaven-slaying poison has already taken my dantian." She explained that while she could deal with everything else, this poison had destroyed her energy core, and he saw the shattered dantian within her body. Yomyung hesitated but asked, "If I may, just hypothetically." She interrupted sharply, "If you say hypothetically one more time, I will rip your tongue out. Get to the point." Trembling slightly, Yomyung pressed on, asking if there were a chance for regression. "What would you do?" Chionura blinked. "Regression," Yomyung continued, saying, "You know the old saying, right? As if you must have saved the world in your past life." She responded, "Hard to believe you of all people saved the world." But Yomyung held his ground. "What if?" she countered with a question. "Then why ask about my wish in the first place? If such a chance existed, wouldn't you be too busy chasing your own goals?" Yomyung gave her a calm, unwavering look and answered, First, I'm not the type to just lie down and take it. Second, I owe a debt to someone, and I want to repay it. Chionura told him, there's no need to think that deeply about it, he said. The extent of our connection is just that I was one of your political marriage candidates, or at least that's probably what you think. Youmyung looked at her and asked, if you really do get regress someday, even if you won't remember any of this, I've made up my mind, the traitors of our cult, the Murim Alliance. Trash that invaded the 10,000 mountain fortress, and the third faction behind all this. I swear on my soul, I will slaughter every last one of them. He then asked her quietly, if there's anything you wish for, this Youmyung who will remember today will do everything he can. Chionura looked at him and said, would you please seduce me? Youmyung was stunned. I'm confident I can stop Han Mubak from becoming the demonic path great lord. He said, hesitating, but becoming your partner is a bit. She glanced away and asked quietly, do you not like me or something? Youmyung answered honestly, you know better than anyone. It's basically close to impossible, right? A relationship requires both people to actually want it. Back in your days as the young cult leader, you were completely unimaginable. You didn't just reject men, you shattered them. One reason Han Mubak earned the Great Lord position, he added, was because he was the only one who could endure that temper. Chionura turned her face away. Forget it then if you don't want to. But Youmyung interrupted, who says it's impossible. She turned her head slightly, her gaze shifting toward him. He leaned closer. Romance by nature often begins when someone with feelings plants them in someone who doesn't. He smiled at her. For Lady Chionura, he said gently, that much effort is nothing. Upon hearing Youmyung refer to her as young lady, Chionura responded with a faint smile. It's been a while since I turned 30. Embarrassed, she covered her mouth with her hand and added shyly, it feels a little awkward. Youmyung, maintaining a gentle and calm expression with a slight smile, knelt before her and said, please just promise me you'll forgive me for being a little harsh to the you of the past. Still composed but with a threatening tone, Yura warned him, if this information leaks out. Youmyung instinctively shivered at her words. She glared at him, continuing, I will bet everything to kill you, Youmyung, so I'll say this only once. Listen carefully. Then she shared the information with him. Trembling slightly, Youmyung said, you were quite impressive back in the day. Shut up, Youmyung, Yura snapped, her voice sharp. It seems our conversation is over. At that moment, the sound of a door opening echoed, followed by the rush of a group entering the palace. Yura glanced at the intruders and calmly stated, uninvited guests have arrived. How about letting me go peacefully on my last journey? If possible, I'd like to learn everything until the very end, she told to Youmyung, but he declined. An old bearded man stepped forward. To think I'd live to witness the fall of the demonic cult, he said. He was none other than Quan Hyun, the sword sage Taoist master and leader of the unorthodox Murim Alliance. He bowed slightly. It is truly an immense honor. Youmyung asked him, do you even know who is standing beside you right now? The old man grinned maniacally and gestured toward Han Mubik, the husband of Chionura. All this time, Quan Hyun declared, the Azure Sky Divine Dragon has endured all manner of humiliation for the glory of the Central Plains martial world. Youmyung smirked, thinking to himself, Azure Sky Divine Dragon, what a grand title to parade around while mingling with the orthodox sects. Yura, now furious, locked eyes with Han Mubik. He pointed his index finger at her. Grandmaster of the demonic path, heartless demon empress, your time has come. You will pay for all your sins. Yura scoffed. So my detestable husband has returned? With a wicked smile, Han Mubik replied, everything I did was for the Central Plains martial world. Staring straight into his eyes, Yura asked coldly, you mean for the heaven-defying association, don't you? A wave of murmurs spread through the crowd. Even Youmyung paused to consider her words. Growing nervous, Han Mubik drew his sword and aimed it at her. Don't be fooled by this demonic witch, he shouted to the others, his voice trembling. She's trying to sow discord among us until the very end. Prompted by his warning, the entire group, including Quan Hyun, drew their swords and charged. Yura and Youmyung, seeing them approach, readied their own blades. Even though I've been poisoned, Yura declared, I can handle the likes of you alone. Quan Hyun chuckled, half amused and half intrigued. Stop boasting, cult leader. With a powerful swing, Yura unleashed the heaven-killing demonic sword technique. The shock of her strength reverberated through the enemy ranks. Quan Hyun commanded, Yellow Dragon Heavenly Sword Squad, eliminate those demons. The battle raged. Eventually, it came to a tragic end. Youmyung looked at Yura with sorrow in his eyes, his brows slightly furrowed and gaze soft. He was shocked to see her body pierced by multiple blades. With shallow breaths, she whispered, I'm glad I can still say goodbye on my last journey. They've retreated, she added. The self-destruct mechanism of the heavenly demonic palace has been activated. They fled on their own. Youmyung's expression turned dramatic, eyes wide in grief. Why are you crying like that? Yura asked gently. Yeomyung, overwhelmed by the sight of her blood-soaked figure, fell to his knees and wept, holding her as she drew her last breath. Smiling faintly, she asked, "You're going to seduce me, right?" Still crying, Yeomyung nodded, satisfied. She closed her eyes and collapsed. Yeomyung caught her body before it hit the ground, cradling her lifeless form in his arms. He cried out in agony. The palace exploded as the self-destruct mechanism triggered, engulfing everything, including them. "This is my last life," Yeomyung thought. "My first life was great. I was a hero who saved humanity, the guardian of Earth. Thanks to that, the gods granted me 2 reincarnations and 3 perks. Originally, I was going to enjoy this one, but now I dedicate my last life to you, Chionura." Yeomyung awoke to a voice addressing him as young master. "You've come to your senses," said a familiar face, recognizing him as Gu Chil. Yeomyung realized he had reincarnated far into the past, seeing his childhood form in a basin of water. Yeomyung blinked in disbelief. "What's with that washing basin?" he asked, thinking, "You could have just tapped my shoulder to wake me up." Before Gu Chil could explain, another voice cut in. "I ordered it." That voice? Yeomyung froze. "Damn, I know exactly when I've reincarnated." Turning his head with dread, he saw the towering figure of his father, Jin Gun, aka patriarch of the Jin family, the Azura King. Holding a glass bottle, his father growled, "A brat who hasn't even held his coming-of-age ceremony dares crawl into a brothel to drink. This was the day I got beaten like a dog and dragged home," Yeomyung recalled. Gun AK scowled. "The eldest son of the great Jin family passes out after a few drinks at a gathering with the heirs of the other 6 families. Worthless bastard." Yeomyung immediately bowed. "Patriarch," his father eyed him coldly. "If you're weak, be smart. Do you know why I came to get you myself?" "I got beaten for not answering last time," Yeomyung thought. Bowing lower, he replied, "Because the meeting with the young cult leader has been confirmed." This was the gathering where Chionura at 17 would choose a potential partner from the 6 most prestigious families. "In my past life, she didn't choose anyone. Later, Han Mubik betrayed us and won the demonic Pathlord selection. This time, I won't let that happen." Gun AK's gaze sharpened. "I kept you alive for this moment. Despite your lack of talent, do you think you can win her heart before the others?" Yeomyung smiled confidently. "The others won't stand a chance." His father smirked. "Then at least refine your self-defense arts. Don't shame the family name." After he left, Yeomyung looked out from the balcony. "I never thought I'd meet him again right after waking up, but this is perfect. 20 years in the past means there's time to change everything." Recalling Yura's words about the heaven-defying association, he resolved, "I'll uproot those bastards completely." Gu Chil, worried, asked, "Young master, what in the world are you planning?" Yeomyung blinked. "What do you mean? Didn't you boast that you'd become the young cult leader's husband?" Yeomyung scratched his head, pretending to be confused. "When did I say that?" Chil replied, "No, just earlier," but before he could finish his sentence, Yeomyung cut him off. "I never said I'd become the young cult leader's husband," Yeomyung responded bluntly. "I only said that other guys would get rejected by her." Chil, confused, looked at him and asked, "Isn't that basically the same thing?" Yeomyung shook his head. "It's very different," he said firmly. At that moment, Yeomyung thought to himself that Chionura was currently impossible to approach no matter what anyone tried. She was entirely consumed with perfecting her martial arts. With discomfort, he also realized that she didn't even glance at anyone weaker than herself, including him. Just then, both Yeomyung and Chil noticed someone entering the room with a sword in hand. The person addressed Yeomyung, asking if he was still there. Upon seeing him, Yeomyung recognized him immediately. That guy, Maol Su, the second son of the blood dragon Ma clan. Maol Su, speaking with strong emotion, asked, "What, do I look that awful to you?" Yeomyung casually replied, "Not really." With a mocking tone, he asked, "Where's your younger sibling? Did you come out here alone?" Maol Su, visibly frustrated, snapped back, "I told you, I don't have a sister named Younghee." He thought to himself, why does he say that every time we meet? Fuming with anger, Maol Su then challenged Yeomyung to a duel. Hearing this, Yeomyung was taken aback. Out of nowhere, "This didn't happen in my past life. It must be because of the clan head. Since I didn't get beaten up or dragged off this time, the timeline must have shifted." He recalled the political structure. The Heavenly Demon sect was co-ruled by the Cheon clan and the 6 divine demon clans, among them, his clan, the demonly Heaven Jin clan, and Maol Su's blood dragon Ma clan had the worst relationship. Yeomyung pointed out duels between the 6 clans are supposed to be forbidden. Maol Su replied, "There's an exception clause." As he listened, Yeomyung reasoned silently, if it concerns the survival of a clan and it's not an official duel tournament, then the only possibility left is if it involves the Cheon clan. He asked, "Is this about the young cult leader?" Maol Su confirmed it and declared that if Youmyung lost the duel, he must forfeit the exchange ceremony with the young cult leader. Pointing his sword at Youmyung, he emphasized the condition. Youmyung recalled that Maol Su's little brother was supposed to show up at the ceremony with a faint smile. He asked, "And why exactly should I agree to this nonsense?" Moving a step away, Youmyung added, "Is your sister the kind of person who needs to pull underhanded tricks like this?" Maol Su, angered by the provocation, was about to lose his composure. Youmyung warned, "Quit your crap and leave unless you want to turn this into a full-on clan war." Unable to hold back, Maol Su rushed at him with his sword, yelling, "Don't you dare look down on me, Jin Youmyung." Maol immediately reached for his sword to protect Youmyung, but Youmyung held out a hand and told him not to interfere. Internally, he thought, "Let's bring out my first special perk." As Maol Su lunged forward, Youmyung easily dodged the attack. His senses had awakened to the level of his past life. Maol, clearly worried, shouted, "You don't even know martial arts, what are you trying to do?" But Youmyung, now with heightened perception, could clearly see the sword's movement. He observed that while Maol Su's sword techniques as a former clan head would have been formidable, his teenage swordplay was still lacking. As the sword came toward him, Youmyung caught it with his fingers. Maol was shocked. It was a piercing flow technique, without hesitation. Youmyung kicked Maol Su in the abdomen, sending him flying. Both Maol Su and Maol were stunned. Even Maol thought, just yesterday this guy was avoiding martial arts and messing around. Youmyung then called out to the people hiding nearby, instructing them to take Maol Su away. The followers came forward and began carrying the unconscious body. Youmyung told them, "Once Maol Su wakes up, he's going to flip out. You'd better keep him restrained well." They nodded in acknowledgement. Youmyung added, "I held back my strength," and thought to himself, "It'd be bad if the Jin clan messed up the Ma clan's heir. Gotta stop that kind of mess." Obviously, afterward, Youmyung entered his clan with Maol. Everyone standing there greeted him with respect. One of the old men asked, "Did your outing with your close friend go well?" Youmyung replied, "It went well," though he thought to himself, "No way that ended well, not when father chased me all the way to a brothel, and there's no way Chief Bayok, the chef overseer who manages all the Jin clan's affairs, wouldn't know about it." Turning to the old man, whom he called Chief Bayok, Youmyung remarked, "You've got a mischievous side to you." Chief Bayok smiled and replied, "I was merely worried about you, young master." Youmyung cut him off and said, "Just give me a training room." Bayok was surprised by the request. "Are you trying to learn martial arts?" he asked. Even the guards nearby looked shocked. Youmyung also asked Bayok to bring him a few martial arts manuals from the clan library. Once the books arrived, Youmyung began listing them. He remembered his past. His master had once told him, "If you just learn these properly, you'll be invincible." At that time, Youmyung had been holding bottles of pills, thinking it's not even the original, just fragments. That memory was tied to the tragic fire in his clan, which destroyed all their martial arts books. He recalled sitting under a tree with his master after the incident. His master had said, "These martial arts never got to shine because they ended up in the hands of the Dumesbricks Jin clan." Youmyung thought to himself, the clan fire happens 4 years from now. Looking down at the 2 books in his hands, 10 Heavens Demon Sword and Flying Heaven Limitless Divine Art, he realized they were the originals, untouched and unburned. He mused, the Jin clan's martial arts are mostly fist and palm techniques, which aren't suited to me, but thanks to a good bloodline, my natural talent, intuition, and internal energy are excellent. Youmyung made a vow in his heart, "I don't know if I'll get to meet you again in this life, master, but I'll become the grandmaster you always wanted to be." He added silently, "Sorry, cult leader, but keeping the promise to seduce you might be a bit much. I just get rejected by you with my current level anyway." With firm resolve, Youmyung decided, "For 5 years I'll shut myself away and focus solely on martial arts. Once I've raised my power enough, I'll hunt down and wipe out those heaven-defying association bastards so that when you become cult leader in the far future, at the very least, your rule won't be shaken." 2 weeks later, Youmyung was walking toward the Cheon clan. Maol, following closely behind, commented, "Young master, aren't you walking a bit too slow?" Youmyung replied, "I'm the last in the lineup," and thought to himself, going just to get rejected anyway. Maol lowered his voice and said, "Still, it's the Cheon clan's event. You can't treat it lightly." As they reached the front gates, the guards began murmuring at the sight of Youmyung, anger clear on their faces. Youmyung reassured Maol, "It's fine, I'll deal with the consequences," while recalling that last time he got locked up for a year after failing the exchange ceremony. His father had been enraged back then. He thought grimly, "This time, let's make it count, go big. 5 years, maybe." Suddenly, someone was kicked out of the hall and came crashing through the door, landing at Youmyung's feet. Looking at the scene, Youmyung remarked, kind of intense for a welcome party. Chil, his servant, replied, someone just got blasted across the room. Youmyung observed the blood-colored martial robes and the blood dragon sword. Recognizing the person as Ma Jin-yoon from the blood dragon Ma clan, his eyes widened as he heard a familiar voice. A woman standing on the other side of the door looked down at Jin-yoon and commented, at least they're decent this time. Then asked, can you fight hard? Jin-yoon scrambled to his feet and rushed to her, calling out, young cult leader, and affirming her question. Youmyung turned his head and his gaze met with Chionura, the young cult leader herself. While she stood inside the young demon pavilion, Youmyung looked at her and thought, her name is Chionura. Just then, Jin-yoon came rushing into the pavilion. Youmyung, with displeasure clearly visible on his face, remarked to Chil, it's unfortunate that I'm not late after all. Chil, visibly shocked, asked, is that something you should be saying in this situation? Youmyung simply replied, let's just watch the fight. Chil nodded, and the two of them entered the pavilion. Youmyung's thoughts wandered. The Ma Jin-yoon I remember fainted after a single blow from Chionura and disappeared forever like a loser, but something seems off. Inside the pavilion, Jin-yoon had already begun fighting Yura. He attacked with his sword. Putting his full strength behind it, Yura blocked his strike with her own blade. Visibly impressed by the force of his attack, Youmyung, watching intently, thought, was Ma Jin-yoon always this good? During their exchange, Jin-yoon's sword slipped from his hands. Seizing the opportunity, Yura kicked him hard in the abdomen, sending him sprawling to the ground. His guards rushed forward in alarm, but before they could intervene, Jin-yoon, catching sight of Youmyung, shouted, I will never lose to you, then. Turning to Yura, he bowed deeply and said with sincerity, it was an honor, young cult leader. Yura replied calmly, I hope to see more improvement next time. Ma Jin-yoon, Youmyung, recalling the past, thought, originally, he was rejected outright. No. Yura then instructed Jin-yoon to treat his injuries at the medical hall. Youmyung, pleased by her words, stepped forward and said respectfully, thank you for your consideration, young cult leader, but then he noticed Jin-yoon giving him a hostile look. Puzzled, Youmyung thought, isn't this the first time we've met? Suddenly, Yura's voice called out to him in a deep tone, Jin Youmyung, she said, I've been waiting for you. Youmyung shivered at her words. Startled, she waited for me, he thought. Pointing her sword at him, Yura continued, the kid from the Ma family was pretty good just now, then you who subdued him must be even stronger. A trace of stress appeared on Youmyung's face, then, through telepathy, Yura told him, if you can't live up to my expectations, I might be very sad. From a distance, two figures could be seen clashing, sword strikes flying. One slash nearly hit Youmyung's face. She's going for my head right from the start, he thought in shock. What kind of meeting is this? He dodged her attack instantly and, full of intense surprise, questioned aloud, why are you using killing moves on me from the very beginning? He compared it in his mind. Didn't she take it easy on Jin-yoon? Another strike followed, aiming for his neck. Youmyung managed to evade it and shouted, you crazy lady. Yura halted her attack for a moment, her sharp gaze locked onto him. Crazy lady, she asked coldly. Youmyung, now worried, tried to explain himself, but Yura cut him off. Then take this attack from this crazy lady's sword, she said, and launched a fresh flurry of strikes. Youmyung struggled to block each of her attacks. She wasn't holding back, she was attacking him seriously, with full intent. Now's the time to fake an injury and end this, he thought. However, Yura, growing more frustrated, accused him, are you hiding your strength? She rushed in with her sword, which now emanated a dark, black aura. Youmyung's eyes widened. Could it be sword chi? He realized. She used the back of her sword against Jin-yoon, but she's using sword chi on me. Shocked, Youmyung blocked the attack, but the force of it sent him flying backward. Blood spilled from his mouth. Yura approached him and questioned with a terrifying intensity. Are you trying to hide your strength and act like you've lost? With a horrified expression, she demanded, are you not going to give it your all now? Youmyung, skeptical yet sincere, replied, I have never been insincere until now. Yura, angered by his words, raised her sword once again. Youmyung thought to himself, but it's the truth, I've never been insincere, it's just that my sincerity wasn't directed toward winning this duel. Yura pointed her sword, now charged with aura, at him and warned, if you want to deceive me like that. Her eyes blazed with rage as she added, I'll gladly kill you as you wish. Chil, shocked and panicked, called out, young master. Youmyung knew, if I don't stop that, I'll really die. Yura unleashed the heaven killing demonic sword technique, 6 spirits demonic path. A powerful attack surged toward Youmyung. He responded with difficulty, using the 10 branches of heaven's record demonic sword technique and the first record heaven technique. Her sword grazed his face. leaving a scratch, and yet she fought even more fiercely as though she genuinely intended to kill him. Yoomyung's body trembled from the intensity of the battle. He looked at her and said, "I blocked it." Yura smiled and asked, "What do you mean you blocked it?" He was stunned by her reaction. Then he noticed she was using an enhanced chi technique at the mere age of 18. I knew that Chionura had already surpassed the peak level by this time, he thought, but even so, this is still too much. As her sword neared his neck, Yoomyung closed his eyes, prepared to accept the end. Suddenly, a voice echoed through the air. Yoomyung opened his eyes in surprise. He was still alive. A serious voice reprimanded Yura, "You're too worked up. Were you planning to ruin our cult?" Yoomyung looked up, stunned by the presence of the figure who had stopped Yura's attack. He immediately bowed in respect and declared, 10,000 demons grovel before the return of the heavenly demon. I pay respect to the true supreme of the divine cult." While standing between Yoomyung and Yura, she slightly tilted her head downwards in respect. He told her, "I heard you nearly caused a civil war in the cult today." It was then revealed that in the cult's 1,000-year history, only 2 others had ever earned the title of Supreme One. He was the 28th cult leader of the Heavenly Demon Cult, the current demonic grandmaster, and the Heavenly Demon himself, Cheon Jaejong. He addressed Yura again, explaining if the Cheon clan and Jin clan had started a civil war, their respective factions would have joined in. While our entire cult's power descended into chaos, embarrassed by his words, she stood silently. He continued, "The righteous alliance would have swooped in, wouldn't they?" Yoomyung, kneeling before him, thought to himself that it was a bit of an exaggeration, to be honest. He didn't believe that Azura King Jin Gun AK would start a civil war just because one of his sons died. Jaejong then told Yura to apologize to Yoomyung. With her fists, clenched eyes glowing sharply, and her aura surging with intense emotion, she gave a sincere apology. Yoomyung responded calmly, "It's fine, young cult leader." Internally he was surprised. Wow, he thought, I actually lived long enough to hear an apology from Chionura, the heartless demon empress. Here in the heavenly demon cult, where strength was everything, the Cheon clan stood at the top of the 6 clans while common disciples were at the bottom. Jaejong told Yoomyung the Jin clan raised a proper successor but isn't your junior brother the sub-heir. It was revealed that according to the heavenly demon cult law, a clan's head heir or designated successor could not become the partner of the young cult leader or the cult leader. Yoomyung replied respectfully, "Due to my lacking talent, my youngest brother is currently the designated heir." Jaejong's eyes widened in surprise. He repeated, "Lacking talent." He remembered what Yoomyung used to block Yura's attack earlier. It was definitely sword chi. Jaejong laughed and said, "I see lacking talent." But he thought to himself, so basically not the heir, right? Still kneeling, Yoomyung confirmed, "Yes, I'm only here as the Jin clan's eldest son, fulfilling my duty." Before he could finish, Jaejong asked, "Then you can continue fulfilling that duty to the end, can't you?" Yoomyung replied, "Yes, of course." Turning to leave, Jaejong added, "Once the next exchange is scheduled, well, notify the Jin clan." As he walked away, he sent a telepathic message to Yoomyung, "I hope I see you getting along with my Yura then too." When Yoomyung didn't respond, Jaejong's eyes, sparkling with mischief, turned back and demanded, "Why aren't you answering?" Yoomyung, still kneeling, replied, "As you command." He thought bitterly, "I'm screwed." Just like that, the heavenly demon threw my entire plan in the trash. As Jaejong walked away, he muttered to himself about having a drink with that brat Gun AK since it had been a while. After he left, Yura spoke to Yoomyung, "I want to apologize personally, I was deceived after all." With a sad expression, she continued, "I understand you don't like me, that's probably why you put on the act. But even so, it's the cult leader's order, so even if you don't like..." Yoomyung interrupted her, "It's not that I dislike you." A gentle sadness appeared on her face as she asked, "What?" He replied shyly, "In fact, I actually kind of like you, I guess." Yura was left speechless, flustered by his words. He quickly tried to explain, "Of course I meant in a platonic, respectful way, not in a romantic sense." Internally he begged, "Please don't misunderstand." Covering his mouth awkwardly, he added, "Anyway, what I did today had nothing to do with you, young cult leader." Yura corrected him during the exchange, "We're equals, so don't call me young cult leader." Stunned, Yoomyung asked, "Then how should I address you?" Surprised by her own boldness, she stayed silent for a moment. Smiling, Yoomyung said, "I'll call you Lady Chionura." Yoomyung and Cheol left the Cheon clan together. Cheol, clearly excited, told him, "You were absolutely amazing, young master. The clan head will surely be thrilled." On their way back to the Jin clan, Cheol continued praising Yoomyung for being acknowledged by the heavenly demon himself. But Yoomyung, with a somber face, thought, "So now my secluded training is out the window." As Yoomyung entered, the Jin clan chief Byok greeted him. But then a voice called from the side, "So you finally showed up." Turning, Yoomyung asked, "What's the occasion? You never come out to greet me." The person replied, "I heard you. We're training in the practice hall until your visit to the young demon pavilion." With irritation in his tone, he asked, "You're not aiming for the air seat now, are you?" It was revealed to be Jin Yowen's second son of the Demon Heaven Jin clan. Youmyung calm as ever asked, surely you know the clan law. Yowen scoffed, humph. As if my relationship with the young cult leader can't be cleaned up whenever I want. Looking at him, Youmyung thought, for a barehead brute, his brain works surprisingly well. Yowen, glaring in irritation, declared, I don't acknowledge you, Hyung. You're not someone who belongs in the Demon Heaven Jin clan. Cheel intervened, second young master, that's going too far. The young master performed honorably in the exchange, truly fit for the great Jin clan. Yowen, furious at Cheel's words, snapped, a low-born assassin raised outside the clan dares to interrupt a direct bloodlines discussion. Cheel stood silently. Youmyung, hearing those words, thought, is that seriously coming out of a 16-year-old's mouth? He then said to Yowen, looks like I need to fix that attitude of yours first. He thought, if I don't, the clan will just drag me down once I start making moves again. Yowen smirked, you're saying that for real? Youmyung thought, I should instill a little respect. After all, the Hyung is the one who's going to be clan head someday. Cracking his knuckles, he added, now that I think about it, we've never actually fought before, have we? He thought further, in other clans, they beat each other bloody until that sibling bond becomes real tight. Yowen immediately rushed in to punch him, but Youmyung dodged it. All you ever do is run like a rat, Yowen shouted. Don't you have any pride? Youmyung retorted, isn't it more of a problem that you never land a hit? Yowen launched another attack using the threefold absolute swift throw punch technique. Youmyung avoided it effortlessly and stated, there are 3 reasons I'm challenging you to a duel. As Yowen tried to land a blow on his face, Youmyung bent low, grabbed his sword tightly, and evaded it again. First, he said, striking Yowen, so what if you made it into the sex demon dragons? There's always someone better. Second, he added, you treated the Jin clan's household, whom you'll one day lead, with disrespect. Cheel informed his father, Chief Bayok, our young master has changed. Bayok agreed, and even the guards watching the fight were shocked. One guard beside Bayok thought, when did the Jin clan's carefree young master become like this? Yowen, beaten and kneeling before Youmyung, muttered, I'll take that advice. Youmyung warned, but next time I won't hold back. Through telepathy, he added, hey little brother. Don't you want to hear the last reason? Yowen looked worried. Youmyung's sword began to emanate chi as he said, it's because you don't know how to properly show respect to your heavenly older brother. Terrified, Yowen admitted, Hyung, your little brother must have failed to properly express his deep respect. Youmyung replied, etiquette isn't just about flapping your tongue, little brother. And with that, he resumed beating Yowen. That night inside Gun AK's chamber, he remarked to Youmyung, you pulled off quite the amusing stunt. The cult leader didn't hold back his praise for you. He added, and for my generosity in offering someone like you to his daughter. Youmyung, kneeling before his father, responded, yes, clan head. Gun AK asked, do you want to become the clan heir? Youmyung looked at his father and said, please give that position to Yowen. Unlike me, he's proven his worth steadily in the main family. He'll work to raise the clan's prestige by staying close to the young cult leader. Gun AK poured him a drink. I didn't think you cared so much about the clan's honor. Youmyung replied, while the other 6 clans waste potential fighting over succession, if Yowen and I strengthen both inside and out in the next generation, our Demon Heaven Jin clan will be known as the strongest among them. He smiled and his father smiled. In return, can you do it, he asked. I'll give it my best, Youmyung promised. Gun AK nodded approvingly. I'm especially pleased with how sharp you've grown lately, he said. Even crushed the second son, he thought, then asked, then as your father I should offer support. Is there anything you want? The next day, Youmyung walked through the bustling streets, deep in thought. Since secluded training was no longer an option, he turned his attention to uncovering the identity of the dark masks. The era of the cult leader and the current heavenly demon was overwhelmingly stable, so he suspected their activities were still operating beneath the surface. However, Chionura's situation was different. Among the collateral branches of the Chion family, many talented individuals existed, dispersing the supporting forces as he navigated the crowded marketplace. A nearby shopkeeper called out, excuse me, young master, would you like to try this? But Youmyung didn't notice, too absorbed in his thoughts. Behind him, someone followed quietly, munching on an apple. Youmyung paid no attention to the shadow trailing him for a long while. His mind was occupied with the investigation ahead, information that might later serve as leverage against the young cult leader. Frustrated, he finally turned and saw it was Yowen. Why are you following me, little brother? He asked. Yowen's expression darkened. I was just wondering what you usually do to become so strong, big brother. Youmyung hesitated. Is it all right to bring him along? After a moment, he sighed. Take care of yourself. Where are you going? Yowen pressed. Youmyung strode ahead without looking back. We're going to the black market. Yowen's eyes widened in alarm. The black market? Where illegal goods are bought and sold. Isn't That a place for heretics who've broken cult laws. Youmyung remained calm. Little brother, remember this. In the 100,000 Great Mountains, the term illegal hardly exists. It's simply hidden from the general public. He mused. In truth, the black market is managed by one of the 6 families. Before he could finish explaining, they arrived at their destination. The place looked exactly as Youmyung remembered from his time as the Internal Affairs Commander. Yowen read the sign above the entrance, the Hidden Money Pavilion. He turned to his brother. This is the place that practically governs the black market. An old man stood at the entrance, flanked by guards. He greeted them with a mysterious smile. Welcome, esteemed guests of the Jin clan. What brings you to this lowly place? Youmyung smirked. Shouldn't we have come here to do something we're not proud of? He gestured dismissively. Bring the manager. The old man's smile deepened. This lowly one is responsible for this place. Golden Crow Demon Ogunjong. Youmyung's expression darkened with displeasure. If you're facing the Jin clan's first young master, shouldn't someone from the Sa clan come out? At the very least, the old man stiffened. How did you know? Youmyung grinned. Know what? That this is the Hidden Money Sa clan's information organization. Shock flashed across the old man's face before he emanated killing intent. How did you know? Without hesitation, Youmyung slapped him. I know how to attack old people, but I don't know how to respect them. His glare sharpened. How dare a mere representative of the Sa clan exude killing intent toward me? His eyes flicked to the concealed blade in the old man's sleeve. And even hide a weapon. A woman's voice interrupted them. Stop. Youmyung recognized her immediately. Young Lady Sa. She studied him warily. The fact that this is our clan's domain is known only to a few insiders. The Jin clan's intelligence network is even more extensive than I thought. She was Sa Bayan, a direct descendant of the Hidden Money Sa clan. And, on the side, the young cult leader's maid. She was also the one who had lent Youmyung a sword during his confrontation with Chionura. What are you doing here? She asked. Something strange has been going around. Youmyung replied. In the black market, the red light district, the back alleys, black clotted blood. Bayan and the old man paled. How did you know about that? Youmyung shrugged. Wu Liang of the 7 Stars Pavilion has been whining about it. Bayan's face twisted in disgust. Is that really all there is to it? The black clotted blood will soon infect the entire new sect, Youmyung thought, assuming their past actions against the cult are connected. This is undoubtedly one of their schemes. Bayan sighed. The item definitely came from outside the sect. Even with our clan's power, we can't trace the source. The raw materials likely came from the lower organizations of the other 6 families. Disappointed, Youmyung turned to leave. Let's go, little brother, wait. Bayan called. He paused. After a tense silence, she relented, under the condition of perfect resolution. We'll hand over all the information we've gathered, Youmyung smirked. We'll expect your informant at the Jin clan. As they departed, Bayan glanced upstairs. They've left, young cult leader. Hidden in the shadows, Chionura watched them go, recalling her grandfather's words. That boy's eyes weren't on victory. Only on you, perhaps. I'll have to see him differently now, she mused, but frustration simmered beneath her calm demeanor. Wu Liang. Really? Scene shift. The Hidden Valley. A lawless wasteland on the southern outskirts of the demonic cult. Was a place even the most influential families avoided. Youmyung walked through its grimy streets, alongside a woman in a black robe, to catch a tiger. One must enter the tiger's den, Youmyung muttered. Our investigation was blocked here. That woman. Sa clan's informant. Dark. Butterfly Chilho. Shook her head. Entering the tiger's den just gets you eaten. Youmyung arched a brow. Should I tell young Lady Sa what you just said? Chilho quickly backtracked. My apologies. As they looked around, Chilho asked Youmyung doubtfully if he could really gather information in a place like this. Youmyung, covering his nose against the foul smell, told her to just keep a close watch. Chilho shrugged and commented that, in a way, it might actually be easier to find what they were looking for in such a place. While walking, Youmyung suddenly slowed down, his gaze sharpening. What is it? He thought. I've been feeling someone stare for a while now. At that moment, the scene briefly shifted to show the feet of a figure quietly trailing them. Youmyung's suspicion grew sharper, sensing the persistent presence behind them. He thought coldly, if they continue following even after we head inside, I won't let it slide. As they moved deeper into the valley, Chilho frowned at the surrounding vegetation. Someone's cultivating plants here. It's almost charming. She reached out to touch one, but Youmyung stops her from grabbing the plant and tells her, there are poppies over there, and thought, she's clearly not field. Personnel, before he could say more, a group of thugs blocked their path. The leader, a scarred man, sneered, "Brats like you don't come here by coincidence. Get lost before things get rough." Yeomyung assessed them. "Aside from the middle one, the rest are just lowlives. That won't do," he said coolly. "I came to meet your higher-ups." The scarred man laughed. "I was gonna let you leave quietly, thinking you were some noble, but you're just asking for trouble." He signaled his men, "Break his arms." As the thugs charged, Chilho tensed. "I specialize in body lightning techniques, not combat." Yeomyung sighed. "I didn't expect anything." One of the attackers roared, "Die." Yeomyung smirked. "If I really die, you'll be in trouble, you know." Meanwhile, elsewhere, Yeowon frowned in contemplation. Why did Big Brother lie about the brothel and Wuliang? The scene shifted to a different location, where an old man stood missing an arm. He regarded the newcomers with a measured gaze. "What a special occasion," the old man remarked, his voice dry. "To think you would bring guests with you." The man who had arrived with Yeomyung and Chilho bowed slightly. Addressing the elder with deference, the elder smiled faintly, his eyes shifting to Yeomyung. "It's an honor to meet a noble from one of the 6 clans," he said. Yeomyung returned the smile. "But where exactly?" he challenged. "If you guess correctly, I'll grant you a generous reward in my clan's name." The elder's mind raced. The 6 clans meant wealth and influence. After a moment, he ventured, "Aren't you from the hidden Shadow So clan?" Yeomyung tilted his head. "What makes you think that?" "Well," the elder replied, "if we trace back to our supplier, it's the Hwan clan, and the hidden Shadow So clan has never had good relations with the Hwan clan for generations." Yeomyung's expression darkened slightly. "So the heaven-shaking Hwan clan is behind these bastards," he thought. Aloud he said, "Unfortunately you're wrong." Then he revealed his name. The elder's mouth fell open in shock. "The Demon Heaven Gene clan, the first young master." His eyes flickered over Yeomyung's imposing figure. Chilho's voice echoed in Yeomyung's mind through telepathy, laced with concern. "Is it wise to reveal your identity like this? What if they're the suppliers of the black clotted blood? If we crush them with the Gene clans? Power, it ends here." The elder swallowed hard. "What brings a noble of the Gene family to a place like this?" Yeomyung's telepathic voice cut through the air. "Black clotted blood." The elder shuddered at the words. "I've heard the source of that drug is here." Yeomyung continued aloud. "I'd like to hear more about it." The elder hesitated, sensing his reluctance. Yeomyung tossed him a pouch. The elder caught it, opened it, and his eyes gleamed at the sight of gold inside. "The black clotted blood comes from outside," the elder admitted. "It passes through here, but it doesn't touch our hands. We only make drugs to supply to the Hwan clan. We don't distribute it to the entertainment districts or the alleys." Yeomyung's gaze sharpened. "Then who does?" "The lower sect of Jiliu, the Tyrant Wolf sect, they're the primary." Before he could finish, a one-legged man rushed in, panting. "Third elder, there's a problem." He brushed past Yeomyung and Chilho. "It's the intruders." Yeomyung and Chilho exchanged blank looks. "Are we the intruders?" They wondered. Elsewhere, Chionura stood amidst a field of corpses. At another place, a man slept beneath a tree, his weapon resting beside him. A frantic subordinate ran up to him. "Team leader." "It seems the young cult leader has appeared." Jian Myongi cracked an eye open. "Did you start drinking this early in the morning?" "No sir," the man insisted. "She cut down a dozen men in one strike. Members of the venomous snail sect." Myongi sat up. "Then even if it's not the young cult leader, she must be a major figure from the 6 clans." The subordinate nodded. Myongi rubbed his chin. "Which women from the 6 clans wield such power?" "The So clan, Soyu, the Sa clan, Sabayan, or perhaps the twins from the Pa clan." "Surely it can't be the one we're targeting now." "Gather the men," Myongi ordered. "Understood. I'll call the spy squad 17th team immediately." Myongi smacked the back of the man's head. "Not our men, you dumbass, the killing demons. Dispatched from above for the black clotted blood supply. Gather the killer squad." Earlier, Chionura had been tailing Yeomyung. One of her squad members warned, "If we get too close, we might get caught." "I know," Yura replied, "but this is a massive cannabis cultivation area. Why does our cult leave such a place untouched?" "Because it's a necessary material for the Hwan clan's formations," the squad member explained. "By keeping the defenses lax, they lure in intruders and eliminate them easily." Yura frowned. "Did Jean Yeomyung come here knowing that?" She motioned for her squad to continue. "I want to know what that man is thinking." Yura mused. "His lordship said that since the young cult leader has many enemies, distinguishing friend from foe is crucial." Yura smirked. "Above all, doesn't this seem fun?" Her eyes gleamed. "If there's a recluse here, I'd love to meet him." She dashed from their hiding spot, her squad scrambling after her. One sighed inwardly. There are plenty of recluses, like the elders of the Cheon clan. At present, Yura stood amidst more corpses, frustration mounting. "It's strange. No recluse, just endless pests. Before she could finish, Youmyung appeared. You entered without resistance. She demanded. I keep getting blocked. Youmyung studied her. So the gaze I felt was hers. For now, let's go together. He began. But then figures emerged from the trees. Myeongi and the killer squad arrived. I never thought that fool was telling the truth. Myeongi muttered, eyeing. Yura, you'll have to come with us, young cult leader. Who the hell are you? Yura snapped. What will you do with that information? Myeongi mocked. Just come quietly. Yura glanced at Youmyung. He looks like a beggar. Youmyung smirked. Then we should spare him. There's much to extract. Who knew we'd get a lead this easily? Yura called out. Dark shadow, protective shadow, fist shadow. Her escorts materialized. Then she summoned Bayan for backup. Chilho removed her hat, revealing her true identity. Dark butterflies, come forward, protect young Master Jean. The butterflies swarmed around Youmyung, shielding him. His eyes widened. Chilho was Bayan. Myeongi laughed. Cute strategy. But none of your escorts are at the peak level, young cult leader. We however have an exceptional master. Yura's grip tightened on her sword. You know a lot about our cult, of course. Myeongi sneered, especially about the Chion family. At the mention of her family, Yura's aura darkened violently. Listen closely, you insects. The men around Myeongi paled. Attack. Myeongi barked. Yura's sword chi flared. Not a single one of you will leave these mountains alive. She moved like a storm, cutting down the attackers with terrifying precision. Myeongi, desperate, lunged at Youmyung. At the very least, they'll kill you. Youmyung stared, incredulous. Seriously? Can't he see how many guards I have? Then his eyes widened in alarm. His protectors had shifted away, leaving him exposed. Myeongi, rushing toward Youmyung, shouted his name. Seeing him charging at full speed, Youmyung thought grimly. Shit, even if he's past his prime, he's still a peak-level expert. Realizing it was too late to dodge, Youmyung immediately drew his sword to block the incoming attack. The force of the blow sent him flying far away, landing heavily on the ground. I was supposed to look cool, he lamented internally. Now I'm flat on my back. Can't wait to hear everyone laughing at me. The remaining squad members were shocked. One of them whispered to her friend beside her. He blocked it. The other replied in disbelief. How is that possible? Meanwhile, Myeongi, looking genuinely worried, shouted at Youmyung. Why aren't you dead? Still lying down, Youmyung grumbled. You crazy psycho, you don't just spout crap like that at someone. You should have had your skull split open and died on the spot yourself. As Myeongi stood there in stunned silence, Yura calmly, slicing down opponents with her sword, called out to Youmyung. As expected, your level is more than enough to endure that. Youmyung, surprised by her words, thought, what, so she was testing me on purpose? Rising to his feet, he asked her, are you satisfied now that you've confirmed my skill? Yura replied with a slight smile, very much so. Youmyung thought bitterly, higher-ups often test people like this, sure. But still the Dawn Heavenly Demon Divine Cult, huh? Meanwhile, the defeated Myeongi spoke up, telling Youmyung to kill him. Standing before him, Youmyung asked, kill you? Why would I kill someone who's about to give valuable testimony on the black clotted blood? Sweat dripping down his face, Myeongi trembled as he stammered. What are you talking about, block spot blood? Gazing coldly at him, Youmyung thought. Say what you want, but I guess I really am part of the demonic cult after all, he told Myeongi with a slight smile. While I might have slacked off in martial arts, there were a few things I was very motivated to learn. Especially the tendon-ripping bone lock. I practiced that very thoroughly. The tendon-ripping bone lock plainly put torture, Youmyung thought. Upon hearing that, Myeongi, seized by extreme fear, pleaded, wait. Youmyung, smiling wider, used telepathy to say, please remain silent, okay? It's my first time doing this for real, and I'd like to enjoy it a little. Cold sweat poured from Myeongi as Youmyung continued. Now then, why don't we start off nice and easy? Meanwhile, Yura, standing in front of Bayan, said to Youmyung, sorry about that, got you involved unnecessarily. Bayan replied calmly, it's fine, young Master Jean accepted the apology after all. She recalled the moment when she had gone to apologize to Youmyung in the name of the young cult leader. Back then he had greeted her lightly. What is it, Miss Black Flying Seventh Tiger? Standing beside Yura now, Bayan asked, if young Master Jean were to pass the young cult leader's test all the way through, what would you do? Turning her face away, Yura answered quietly, then I guess I'd try chasing one of the dreams I gave up on. Meanwhile, Youmyung continued his work on Myeongi. Tortured and broken, Myeongi cried out, I'll tell you everything I know, just please stop. In the background, Bayan smiled faintly while Yura muttered to herself, I get it now, he's not doing all this just over a courtesan. Approaching them, Youmyung reported to Yura, that guy Jian Myeongi really is from the Beggars Gang. His superior apparently partnered with someone from the Chion clan, but even Myangi doesn't know who exactly. Yura's eyes widened in shock. The Chion clan is connected to the drug case, she asked sharply. She then informed them. The men Myangi brought with him were from the hidden trance manor in Guryu Fortress. Bayan thought for a moment, recalling. The third elder mentioned Guryu Fortress too. She added, Hidden Trance Manor is a faction founded 50 years ago by a retired member of the Ghost Slayer unit? Yura asked. Quickly, Ghost Slayer, Yomyang frowning thought, that's the same unit Guchil used to be part of. Bayan explained. Ghost Slayer, it was the Chion clan's elite assassination unit. Now disbanded the Demon Emperor's Ghost Slayer unit. Concerned Yomyang turned to Yura and said, Young cult leader, I think it's best if you head back now. Ever since the ambush, this has gone beyond what we can handle alone. And given how these guys operate in Cell's hidden trance manor, probably isn't even their main base. Pointing at Myangi's dead body, he added, if they lose contact, they'll erase all traces and vanish. Bayan then asked, what will you do now, young Master Jean? He answered, a few variables popped up, but I'll start from the lower sect again. However, Yura interjected, there's a better way. She pointed out, the real issue is that whether it's the law enforcement court or whoever, no one has the time to assemble full force for an assault, right? Yomyang nodded. Then I'll go to them myself, he said. Worry showing on her face, Yura objected. If it's an official visit by the young cult leader, they won't be able to pull anything shady so openly. Yomyang shook his head. No, I can't let you risk your life over something like this. Do you think this is nothing? Yura asked quietly. Yomyang's expression darkened. Compared to the weight of your life, yes it is. With a sad look, Yura said, because of me your plan went off track, I want to make up for that. Yomyang sighed deeply, thinking, this is why I fell for her. At a different location, the outer edges of the 10,000 mountains, Yura kicked open the front door of the manor and strode inside. Seeing her, an old man exclaimed, what, the young cult leader is here? He was the third master of Hidden Trance Manor. Internally he mused, I was just about to pull out after the message from Hidden Tear Valley. Never thought our kidnapping target would waltz right in herself. With a cunning smile he greeted her. Please welcome, young cult leader. To what do we owe the honor of your visit? In the background, other members of the manor were hurriedly carrying out various things. Yura asked coldly, your grandfather was part of the Demon Emperor's Ghost Slayer unit, wasn't he? Without waiting for a response, she continued, I realized I've been neglecting those who once served the Chion clan. I thought it was time to correct that. Walking further inside, she added, you all look quite busy though. Almost like you're packing up to leave in a hurry. The guards carrying the luggage paused and stared at her warily. Yura looked at the old man and said, aren't you going to offer a guest a cup of tea? Still smiling, the old man replied, in the 10,000 mountains, the young cult leader is never just a guest. Please come inside, I'll guide you. One of the assassins standing by the door whispered to the old man, addressing him as the assassination master, and asked, what should we do? The old man replied coldly, since we've been given another chance, we must capture her alive this time. Understood. Yura and her squad members followed him inside. While walking, Yura observed the battered surroundings and commented, judging by all the wear and tear, you must get quite a few visitors through here. Once they were fully inside, the old man laughed mysteriously, his gaze sharpening. Sensing the atmosphere, Yura glared at him and said, use the proper honorific, you arrogant bastard. We both know what's going on, so why pretend? Immediately the guards in the manor surrounded them, drawing their swords. Yura's squad members did the same, raising their weapons in response. The old man sneered and said, if you surrender quietly, I won't have to be rough with you. Hearing that, Yura smiled coldly and said, got it now, I see your level clearly. The old man laughed mockingly. You catch one member of the life-slaying unit and suddenly think you're unstoppable. Don't think this is all I've got. Yura's expression changed sharply as she looked up. A mechanical formation technique was activating above them.